the most iconic sacrifice in the Marvel Cinematic Universe never happened? What if, in the final moments of Avengers Endgame, Tony Stark survived the snap? Today we'll explore a timeline where Iron Man lives, and the world, as well as the Avengers, will never be the same again. In the original timeline, Tony Stark wields the Infinity Stones, knowing the energy will be fatal. His final words, "I am Iron Man," end both Thanos and himself. But in this alternate universe, one small change rewrites history. Instead of bearing the full brunt of the stone's power through his body, Tony channels the energy using a failsafe, perhaps a vibranium conduit crafted with Shuri's technology, or a last-second intervention by Dr. Strange, diverting the worst of the overload. Tony still snaps, Thanos still falls, but this time, Stark doesn't die. He collapses, broken and scarred, but alive. The Avengers win and the world celebrates. Yet the consequences of his survival are only beginning. In this new timeline, Tony Stark doesn't become a fallen martyr. He becomes a living legend. The man who ended the Mad Titan now stands as the most powerful and most dangerous human on Earth. Governments and organizations around the globe demand answers. How did Stark wield the stones? Could he do it again? And perhaps most importantly, who controls him now? Almost immediately, pressure builds for a new form of global accountability. The Sokovia Accords, once fractured and ignored, are resurrected in the form of something far harsher. Nations fear another Thanos, not from space, but from Stark's lab in Malibu. The irony is cruel. Tony, who spent his life preventing his tech from falling into the wrong hands, now finds himself accused of being too powerful to exist without oversight. The Avengers themselves begin to fracture. Steve Rogers, having lived his happy ending in the Prime timeline, still passes the shield to Sam Wilson. But without Tony's sacrifice, Steve's exit feels different. He leaves a living Tony to carry the weight. Dr. Strange, the guardian of the timeline, is deeply uneasy. The moment Tony lived, the future Strange saw is no longer certain. He warns Stark that survival may come with consequences, unseen ripples in reality. Thor departs with the Guardians, mourning not just the lost, but fearing the universe will see Earth as a new threat, a planet with a man who wielded godlike power and survived. And Peter Parker, still mourning the battle, sees his mentor not as a ghost, but as a living, fragile man. Their bond deepens, but so does Peter's reliance on Tony, something that may stunt Peter's growth into his own hero. The Avengers are divided between those who see Stark as humanity's shield and those who see him as its greatest liability. But outside the Avengers, the world is watching. Every major power begins scrambling to replicate what Tony did. If Stark could harness Infinity Stone energy without dying, others must find a way. Vibranium smuggling increases tenfold. Shuri and Wakanda face growing pressure to share more technology, or risk being seen as complicit in Stark's survival. Meanwhile, remnants of Hydra, AIM, and shadowy power brokers like Valentina Allegra de Fontaine see an opportunity. If Stark cracked the secret, they must as well. The result is a new kind of Cold War, not nuclear, but cosmic. A desperate race to weaponize quantum energy, vibranium, and multiversal research. Tony sees it happening and it horrifies him. His survival, rather than bringing peace, has ignited the very arms race he tried to prevent after the Battle of New York. For Tony himself, survival is not victory. The stones left him scarred, mentally, physically, spiritually. His body requires constant medical intervention, and his nightmares of Thanos never leave him. He feels the crushing guilt of living when Natasha and Vision did not. And unlike in the Prime timeline, Tony cannot rest. Pepper sees the toll. Morgan grows up not with a martyred father's legend, but with a broken, obsessed man who fears his next mistake will doom the planet. Iron Man is alive, but Tony Stark is more haunted than ever. Over the next few years, the MCU would look very different. Far From Home shifts entirely. Tony, alive, steps in as Peter's protector, denying Peter the independence to forge his own path. Mysterio's illusions gain less traction, but the emotional core of Spider-Man's journey, loss, grief, now stepping up, is delayed, if not erased. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier changes too. Without Tony's sacrifice, Sam Wilson faces heavier scrutiny as Captain America. Many compare him directly to Tony's survival. If Iron Man is still here, why do we need a new Cap? Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness plays differently as well. Strange blames Tony's survival for destabilizing the sacred timeline, arguing that Stark's existence is an anomaly. Conflict brews between the sorcerer and the scientist. Even Wakanda Forever shifts. Shuri, once able to rise freely, must now deal with Stark as a technological equal and rival on the global stage. Wakanda's isolationism becomes harder to justify with Stark Industries, leading the global tech race. Eventually, Tony faces the ultimate test. As the arms race escalates, Earth finds itself once again under threat. This time not from Thanos, but from Earth's own greed. Nations on the brink of war demand Stark share his secrets or watch the world tear itself apart. Tony must choose. Keep his technology locked away, risking chaos and bloodshed, or open source it, giving the world the tools to protect itself but also the power to destroy itself. It is Ultron's nightmare all over again. The question he once asked, how do you protect the world without controlling it, returns to haunt him. In this alternate timeline, Tony does not die with a snap, but he may die slowly under the weight of impossible choices. Ending A, the redemption. Tony embraces trust. He works with Shuri, Banner, and even Reed Richards if introduced to create a neutral, global safety body. He decentralizes power, ensuring no single nation or man can ever hold it again. In this key future, Stark survives not only physically but morally. He becomes the mentor of the young Avengers, including Riri Williams and Peter Parker, and proves that Iron Man was more than just a suit, it was hope. Ending B, the fall. But there's another possibility. Tony's paranoia wins. He clutches the technology too tightly. He isolates himself, building hidden safeguards and secret protocols. In doing so, he becomes the very tyrant he once feared. Not Ultron, not Thanos, but Tony Stark, a man who survived when the universe expected him to die. In this darker path, the Avengers' greatest enemy is their own founding member. So what if Iron Man survived? The world gains its most brilliant protector and its most dangerous liability. Because sometimes, the hardest part isn't making the sacrifice. It's living with the consequences of surviving.